Hi, friends. Thank you very much for your time today. And could you please let us know a little bit more about yourself? Where are you from, and why you are planning to study in Japan?
So I am Frenz and I am from the Philippines and I plan to go to Japan because I really love Japan. I really love the culture, most especially the language, the people, the society, the food, the destinations. And ever since I was a child, I was early introduced to the country because my grandfather was a former worker in Japan. And when he was still alive, he would tell me things about this beautiful country, like a land of opportunity and stuff like that. So until I grew like to high school, the mindset that I have to study in Japan was really stayed in my mind. And up until now, until I finished my high school and probably would study in college in Japan. So I think that's my story of why would I like to study in Japan.
So your grandfather lived and worked in Japan, and then you went back to the Philippines, where of course, he was with you, telling you the stories of his time in Japan. Is it
Yes,
right?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Where did he live and work? Do you remember?
He worked at Yamanashi Prefecture in Kofu. He was a company worker, and he worked in for like 5 years, and then he went back to
Mm-hmm.
the Philippines to get married, and then after that he never went back to Japan again. And I was born, and he was already 60 at that time, and I was like 5 years old, and he would tell me stories about these things. He introduced me to the language, the writing system, the hiragana, katakana, and the kanji, and flag, and so on. And he just loved Japan.
Mm. And I think that's a proof, a real proof that when a person moves to any country, let's talk about Japan because now we're talking about Japan. But when a person go to Japan to study or to work, eventually will bring many people after him or
Oh
her.
yes.
So, like your grandfather went to Japan, worked, then went back to live in his country, but then still talk about Japan to many other people. And now you grew with this thing in mind, and now you are going to Japan, and maybe you will bring some friends, or you will bring your future family. Who knows? Since when you start studying Japanese, or since when you start preparing to go to Japan, and when you first apply to study in Japan?
Okay, so I first started learning Japanese way back 2 years ago in 2019, during which I was a high school student. And then after 4 months, which 2020 came, I decided that I would apply for a university in Japan. I would study in Japan. But because of the pandemic struck here in my country and the borders closed in Japan, I set aside the plan and just continued to study Japanese for the whole year, for the whole year 2020. And um, and after a year of studying Japanese, I decided that I think it's been too long waiting for the borders to open in Japan. And so after that 1 year of studying Japanese, I also compiled all my documents, my birth certificate, my national IDs, the funds that I need to take, all of the references that I need to make, all the proper arrangements that I should make before I could depart to Japan. But even though that I made so much preparations and adjustments so that I could move to Japan someday, the fact that the Japanese government has no transparency or reciprocity when it comes to when the borders will open is kind of having a mental toll on me, thinking that maybe next month it could open or next week it could open, and I can have time to prepare my clothes and everything. So yeah, it is very depressing on my part as an international student.
How is actually the day life for you? How bad is this impacting your everyday life and your mental health?
Well, since last year, thinking about when the borders would open in Japan, every day I wake up, I would always think that how should I start my day? How should I be productive? Even though that I'm totally depressed, thinking about um, I am still confined in my house, in my room all day, not be able to go out and go to Japan. and most especially due to the fact that celebrities and DJs can enter Japan, whilst international workers and students like me could not enter Japan, which the Japanese government could do not acknowledge the fact that international workers and students like me could contribute to the economy of Japan by investing in our money to universities and schools, the businesses. Then it would really help the economy. But and also the fact that I also respect the Japanese government's decision when it comes to the border restrictions, especially when they prioritize the health of their citizens. But I also want to say that they have to acknowledge the fact that most foreigner or international students like me are already vaccinated, and we would adhere to any rules and regulations that would come to us if we were go to Japan. Like we would do quarantine, that we would take PCR tests. But I think that due to the fact that the Japanese government has no transparency and reciprocity when it comes to international students, like it's like that they are totally forgotten about us. I think every day Japan is losing workers and students that would potentially be the future workforce in Japan. I have 5 friends who left the country or left the Philippines like 3 months ago, and all 5 of them couldn't wait any more longer for Japan's borders to open. 2 went to South Korea, 1 went to Europe, and 2 went to the United States of America to study to get a bachelor's degree. And all the 5 of them share the same feelings as me. All of them like suffered emotional distress due to the fact that every single day they think about the wasted time, the opportunity that could be waiting in Japan. But because the government is, I think they're turning a blind eye to most international students like us. So that's why they finally decided to stop their dream of studying in Japan. Now we've been messaging each other constantly, and they've been asking me, friends, when are you going to stop waiting for Japan to open and come study in a different country? And I said, patience is a virtue, and I think I could wait until this year, like until November or December. If it doesn't open by this year, then maybe I would start to reconsider my dreams in studying in Japan, and I think move to a different country to study.
Let's assume that you will hear that the borders will open soon. What will be your reaction and what you will be doing at that point?
First of all, my reaction would be like I am relieved, finally relieved that the Japanese government has finally opened the borders. The more than a year struggle was finally worth it. All of my uncertainties in my head would finally be removed and erased. And after that, I would continue the preparations that I need, especially the visa, leave the country finally.
Okay, so I really hope for you and all of you watching, but also in the same situation, that this become reality very soon. On the other side, I really call once more the government to don't forget international students, workers, families and couples who are stranded outside Japan and have been waiting for so long, but they can't wait for much longer. And you know, the future of global Japan, as everyone has been in Japan has been wishing for, is really on the line now. Because if we don't have those young minds, those bright people to enter Japan now, they will go to another country. They will cancel their plans to study in Japan, and Japan will basically be without foreigners for such a long time. And I don't think that's something we all want. So I hope that some decision is going to take in very soon based on what other countries are doing in the rest of the world, and some good news come for Frenz and for all other students, workers, families and couples that are stranded outside Japan now. Thank you very much, Frenz, for your time today.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me.
Thank you everyone. Matane, bye.